So let us start with the first video, long-form video that is, for this channel. As I write this script, it is the 25th of December, so right on the first day of Christmas, and I'm in the dark, candles burning next to me. That's right, we lost power because of heavy snows in my grandparents' remote village. So I'm feeling very Tudor style, to be honest. If you think the world from 5 centuries ago is so far off from us, think again, because I feel like I'm in that world right now. It's the dark of night, which in winter means literally just 7 p.m. There's no electricity, no hot water, we're producing our heat with wood fire. My grandparents have already gone to bed because there's nothing to do in the dark. And then there's me, sitting by a candle, writing scripts for videos, like I'm Thomas More writing his Utopia. At this point I feel like the only thing missing is a viral plague, or sweating sickness or something, sweeping over the village, and I'll officially become a real-life Tudor-era person. And you might say, oh my god, that sounds horrible. But you know what? It doesn't to me. It actually is very atmospheric and puts me in the mood for doing what I do, which in this case is talking about the Tudors. But also, there's another element about it that I really enjoy. This sort of environment, you know, one without your basic modern amenities, in a way it purifies you and resets your thinking. Nowadays we're so used to living in the big cities, surrounded by 1,000 ways for instant connection to everyone else, and we're also surrounded by technology which bombards us with attention-grabbing media, and it gives me anxiety, even now as I mention it, just in writing, even though I'm currently very far off away from it. And as I sit in the dark, writing by my candle, I wonder, how in the world are we able to live like we do? It is actually the modern world that sounds horrible to me now, not the Tudor world. Thinking about the Tudor world and experiencing the limited environment that I do now, it gives me so much peace of mind. It gives me so much tranquility, and it makes me feel so much more alive and in the moment. Even my mode of thinking right now has deepened so much more because it is placed in this location of quiet and of slow-moving time. Let me give you an example. So, if I were in the city right now, with my life going as it usually does, I still would have been writing or painting and doing what I naturally do, but I would have been doing it on the run. Like, constantly thinking about how fast can I finish this canvas? How much video material do I have recorded? When did I publish my last post? Oh my god, the algorithm is gonna drop me. So anxiety, and more anxiety, and a never-ending, chaotic stream of consciousness. While now, in contrast, as I sit and write by the candle, I think about, for example, the actual room that I'm sitting in, and the historical significance that it has for me personally. Because the other day I was reading about Tudor funeral practices, and you know how the Tudor person dies, then they wrap up the body and put it up in their house for a couple of days or so before the funeral. And so the room of the house that I'm sitting in right now, it's where we watched over the body of my great-grandma when she died back in 2007. She was 86 and she died from a stroke. And I was a kid at the time, about 13 or 14 I think, something like that. And so around here, at the time, the funeral practice was actually very similar to that of the Tudors. In Tudor England, when a person gets close to dying, they first wait around for the dying person to die. Like lighting candles and all, until the actual moment of death. And that's what happened with my great-grandma. While she was dying, she was lying in the bed in the room right next to this one actually, with people waiting around her, us kids included. She was of course not conscious, I think. Like, she was awake, looking around, and talking gibberish because her brain was too damaged. And we all sat around her as she was dying. We held her hand, we caressed her, and talked to her as if she did understand us. Because I don't think she did, actually. But we still did it anyway. We stood over her and looked after her as she was dying. And it wasn't just a family that came over. It was friends and neighbors, basically the whole community, which is exactly what the Tudors did. And then when she finally died, my family washed the body, put it in her best clothes, placed her into an open coffin, and then they put the coffin in the room where I'm sitting and writing right now. I'm literally standing like an inch away from where her coffin stood. And if I turn around and look that way, I can see her still, clear as day. Even after all these years, the memory has not faded away from me. The memory of when we said goodbye to my great-grandma. And we've experienced death many times apart from that, and it's always more or less the same here. Tudor-style funerals, with some minor differences. While in the city, it's so different. It's like we're afraid and disgusted by death over there. If you're living in a big building block like I do, and it's full of people, and then someone dies, they call like a private funeral agency. A couple of guys come over, and you don't know who the hell they are. They're just some employees, and they cover up and whisk the corpse away out the apartment building as soon as possible, and drive it to cremation, burn it up real quick, and then they deliver back to the family a box of ashes, which I always wondered how you can ever be sure the ashes you're getting are those of the right person. And I know, they probably have like procedures in place to know these things, but still, I have to say, when I was a kid, I was terrified of corpses. So I would have taken the quick cremation. But nowadays, and maybe it's because I'm no longer scared of dead people, I feel like it's so soulless. I mean, I understand if it's a person you disliked or whatever, and you just wanna, get rid of the biological waste. But if it's a person that you love, it seems horrible to me that I would just give them over to some goons to quickly cremate because they want to make money and capitalize on my loss of a loved one. If it's someone I loved, I would want to give them a funeral with a watching or a viewing. I would want to take care of them and prepare them. I would want to be the one to put them in the ground and to be the last one to hold their hand. It feels true, honest, and natural. And it's the same way I felt when I read about how the Tudors took care of their dead. And so when I hear people say like, oh my gosh, the world was so horrible back then, thank God we live nowadays. I'm like, while it's true that if we lived 5 centuries ago, many of us would either suffer or literally just die, at the same time, our own world has become so soulless, dishonest, quick, unrelenting, capitalized, financialized, and as crazy as that might sound, animalistic. Darwinism and survival of the fittest is nowadays, I think, more applicable than it was in Tudor times. I'm not an economist, by the way, not even close to it. But it seems to me that wealth inequality is much more rampant, or at least on a much larger scale, because naturally populations have become larger. So you've got a few millionaires and billionaires at the top of the world, and then everyone else has to die from anxiety, because it's so impossible to get your basic means for normal life. But let me not get into this because it's too outside of my lane. I'll just repeat what I said about the modern world feeling so much more deprived of humanity and honesty, and depth of human reason and connection. Compared to the Tudors, our world feels like it's all about maximum profit, quickest possible production, maximum consumption, and never ever stopping to think things over. Because if you stop and pause to take a breath, oh no, you can't slow down. You gotta make content, you gotta make profit. If you stop, you get trampled. Go. No time to think, no time to breathe. And so I say, stop, pause, take a break, think, breathe. If people surpass you, let them. Let others hurry into their lives. Let others define themselves through profit. Instead, I choose to be human.